Hey, what's going on, everybody? My name is Dalton Brown at Dalton J Brown on Twitter. I am ready to dive into today's slate on Touch 'Em All, presented by Sports Map Elite. Our whole team here on baseball, that's myself, BC, and Joe Spano. We've been putting up some pretty good numbers recently, so definitely excited about that. Losing day yesterday for me, but winning weekend before that. Looking forward to diving in today and hopefully providing some more winning plays. BC unable to join today, but he will have his picks up as well before the nighttime slate of games gets going. Um, a lot to look forward to. Also, we've got football season coming up. There'll be a ton of great fantasy content, a ton of great game content coming up with that. I'll be involved there as well. But for now, we are fully in the swing of things with baseball. Post All-Star break now. So really enjoying the process and looking forward to going through a big full slate of games today. Um, I'll go ahead and dive in with the first one on the board. That's going to be a 6:40 Eastern time start. That's 9:03 Miami Marlins and 9:04 Cincinnati Reds. Marlins very small favorite there. Last I checked, over under 8.5 is the line. Matchup between Pablo Lopez and Hunter Green. Coming from Cincinnati today. I think it's kind of funny because Cincinnati early in the season was a team that everybody wanted to fade. They really they started with that 3-22 start. They were absolutely awful. You look what they've done recently. They've won 9 of their last 13. They had a really good weekend against the Cardinals coming out of the All-Star break. So not necessarily a team that you want to blindly fade. Marlins, meanwhile, really tough situation right now with their bullpen and with their lineup. They're missing just a ton of pieces. If you watch them take on the Pirates on Sunday, they were rolling some guys out to make their major league debuts in one-run ball games. So kind of a tough situation for them. So neither one of these bullpens is in great shape. You look at both these teams facing right-handed pitchers. Miami 28th in baseball in the month of July against righties. Cincinnati right around 19th. So nothing too exciting there. I do give the starting pitching edge to Miami, though. Pablo Lopez, he's been a bit of a mixed bag really since early June. He's allowed 4 or more earned runs in 4 of his last 9 starts. But otherwise, he's been really good. So you kind of don't always know what you're going to get with him. You look at his baseball savant page; it's kind of all over the map, averaging out kind of somewhere in the middle. I think his 3.84 expected ERA suggests to me that maybe there's a little bit of negative regression coming, but generally speaking, I think he's probably the better of these two. Hunter Green has really struggled in his rookie season. He will mix in the occasional strong start, but most of the time, this is a guy who's going out there battling through 5 innings and allowing 3, 4, 5, 6 runs. He's in an ERA between 5.5 and 6 every single month of the season individually. So he's been consistently mediocre, not just on a bit of a mediocre run. Just too many walks, too much hard contact. Reality is here, I think starting pitching is an advantage for Miami. The bullpen advantage probably goes to Cincinnati. Cincinnati playing a little bit better out of the break than Miami, but I don't really want to take Hunter Green over Pablo Lopez. So game ends up being a pass for me. Moving into the next game on the board, we are going to Philadelphia. It's 9:05 Atlanta Braves and 9:06 Philadelphia Phillies. Braves, small favorites here, minus 117, over under 7.5. It's going to be Spencer Strider on the mound for Atlanta, Aaron Nola on the mound for Philadelphia. I actually have 2 different plays here. I'll jump on the no runs first inning play first. You look at the season long for these two guys. Aaron Nola's got a 0.95 first inning ERA. Spencer Strider 2.70 first inning ERA. 2 guys who usually come out of the gate sharp, looking really good. Spencer Strider has had a really good rookie season. He's made 9 starts since moving into the rotation. 7 of them have been outright excellent, and 2 of them were sort of clunkers. They won't really bunch together, though. He's done a good job bouncing back when he has had a rough outing. The stuff absolutely jumps off the page. And this is a Philadelphia team that, while the offense is generally pretty good, they're actually only 21st in baseball against right-handed pitchers in the month of July, while Atlanta is 5th in that category, and both of them face righties today. Aaron Nola last year faced Atlanta a ton. He threw over 30 innings against them, ended up pitching to an ERA over 4. So it's a team that has a lot of familiarity with him, and they actually tend to hit him pretty okay, but it doesn't tend to happen in the first inning. So I think we'll probably get we'll get the Nerfy home here. That'll be minus 150. A little bit expensive, more juice than I like to lay, but I think it's should be more like minus 185. And then I like Atlanta on the money line. They've had the better bullpen in the month of July, 7th versus 11th overall. They're the better team at hitting right-handed pitching. Philly hasn't really seen Spencer Strider. They've only seen him for about 8 outs in a relief outing early this year, where he was actually perfect against them too. So, I think a good bounce back spot for Atlanta after the loss yesterday. Give me the Braves minus 118. No runs first inning at minus 150. Heading out west now for 907 San Francisco Giants at 908 Arizona Diamondbacks. Giants significant favorites here, minus 182. Diamondbacks plus 167 at home, over under 8.5 from the desert. The Giants are really scuffling. They're 0-5 coming out of the All-Star break, 8-14 in the month of July. That's the second worst record in the National League. Carlos Rodon's coming off a really frustrating start in LA. He threw 5 innings, gave up 5 earned. Probably deserved better. The defense for the Giants has been absolutely atrocious. The bullpen for them has arguably been even worse. You're looking at a 5.83. That's 29th in baseball in the month of July. So I think they're putting a lot of pressure on their starting pitchers. And Carlos Rodon's a guy who may or may not get traded in the next couple of weeks, depending on how far things fall for the Giants. They are only 500 now. He faced Arizona recently and gave up 4 runs at the beginning of the month. And obviously 5 runs in his last start against the Dodgers. So he's been a little shaky of late, but overall, I certainly trust him a heck of a lot more than I trust Tyler Gilbert for Arizona. You look at what Gilbert's done this year. He's been near the bottom of every savant category. Both these teams actually hit left-handed pitching really well as well. So, a lot of it's going to come down to Carlos Rodon. If he comes out and pitches the way he's capable, the Giants are the right side here. And they're probably the right side on the run line, or preferably on the first 5 run line. But the first 5 run line is a little bit expensive. And, I'm just not sure that the Giants in their current form are worthy of laying the price. And, I wouldn't be surprised to see Rodon go out and scuffle a little bit again. I lean over 8.5 as well. I just don't think I have enough conviction here to feel good about putting money on it. So just going to move on to the next game. Nightcap tonight in the National League, 909 Washington Nationals, 910 Los Angeles Dodgers from Chavez Ravine. Dodgers huge favorites, just like they were last night, minus 240, Nats plus 220, over under 8.5. Big upset last night. Nationals came in and got it done, won the game 4-1. Dodgers leaving a ton of runners on base, happens from time to time. Tony Gonsolin, I think, was a lot better than the line score showed in that game. There was 1 2-out rally where Washington strung a few hits together, scored all 4 of their runs, and that was that. So credit them and their bullpen. They held it down last night. I don't know that I necessarily see it happening again. This is a Dodgers team that's still 19-3 in their last 22 games. They came into the break playing great, came out of the break playing great. Bit of a hiccup last night, but they've already faced Josiah Gray, who's starting tonight for the Nationals. They've already faced him once this year, touched him up for 7 earned runs in 3 innings back in May. I think he's a bit green. And when you get young righties like that who, may not have the command or may not have the presence on the mound of a veteran, Dodger Stadium's a really tough place to pitch against this, especially against this offense that ranks second in baseball against right-handed pitching. Nationals, meanwhile, 29th in baseball against righties. So in the month of July. So, Mitch White been pitching a lot better than people probably realize. You look at his most recent starts, 3.38 in June, 3.45 in July. That's a consistently above average arm. He did have the 1 poor start at St. Louis 2 starts ago, followed that up with 6 scoreless this weekend against the Giants. So, I think Mitch White is more than filling his role for the Dodgers. They don't necessarily have crazy high expectations for him, but he's been pitching pretty well. So, look, the Dodgers on the run line have been a great bet most of the season. When they win, they tend to win by more than a run. I'm not too concerned about their offense after last night. I think they just didn't hit opportunistically. That's going to happen sometimes. So I like the Dodgers laying the run line here, minus 1.5. That comes in at minus 120. I would be very surprised if they don't bounce back with a win tonight. Now moving into the American League, We've got the Tampa Bay Rays, Baltimore Orioles, 9-1-1, 9-1-2 from Baltimore. Do have a play here. This is going to be a no runs first inning play. That comes in at minus 125 on the Nerfy. That number I only saw available at DraftKings, so line shop around, get the best number you can. Um, you know, really, this is two starting pitchers, one of whom we know is really good, and one of whom I think is a little bit undervalued. Spencer Watkins being the undervalued party here. He's completely turned his season around. He was awful early on, got sent down, pitched in Norfolk for a little while. Now he's come back up. 4 straight starts. He's pitched 5 or more innings and only allowed 1 earned run in each of those starts. He's only allowed 1 first inning run over those 4 games. So coming out of the gate, pitching pretty well. The top of Tampa's lineup is not exactly the top of the Dodgers lineup. So I think, he should be hopefully okay. And then obviously I probably don't need to tell you how good Shane McClanahan's been this year. This is a guy who's allowed 0 1 earned run in 7 straight starts. The same thing with 11 of his last 12, 0 1 earned run. Pitched to a 1.36 ERA in June, 1.40 in July. You go all the way back to May, that was a 1.15 month for him. So, he's just been completely dominant. He only faced Baltimore once this year, back on opening day. He threw 4 1/3 of scoreless baseball. I do lean Tampa as well in the first 5. That first 5 run line, just a little too expensive. I saw it at minus 150. Tampa has crushed Spencer Watkins in the past. So, he's been better recently, but I don't know that I think that he'll come out and necessarily put forth a full good start today. I think the best value here is just to play the no runs first inning. I think Spencer Watkins has reinvented himself a little bit. Rays might not know what to do with him right off the bat. So hopefully that'll come home for us. Next game on the board, we've got 9-1-3 Cleveland Guardians, 9-1-4 Boston Red Sox from Fenway Park. Cleveland seems to be going with a bullpen game here. They're putting Brian Shaw on the mound. They're going to be a plus 130 underdog. Boston minus 140 at home, over under 10 runs. Really big total, and I think the big total is frankly deserved. It seems like they've already adjusted it up pretty well. Cleveland's bullpen for the month of July, 4.74 ERA. Boston's bullpen this month, 5.78. Those are both in the bottom third of the league. Cleveland obviously going to be leaning on that bullpen for it looks like a full 9 innings today. Josh Winkowski, the starter for Boston, he's below average in every measurable stat in Baseball Savant. You look at his results; they sort of reflect that. He really hasn't been terribly good, especially not in July. 5.29 ERA in July. He's walked 8 batters in just 17 innings of work. He's also allowed 3 homers over his last 2 starts. So lineups have been getting to him a bit. I think Cleveland's probably going to score a little bit against him. I would have been looking to bet an over here if we'd gotten a number around 8.5 or 9. Small lean toward Cleveland on the money line. I think this is a little bit more of a pick'em game than the line makes it look, but not quite enough to play it. So another game that I'll probably just be staying away from there. Staying in the AL Central, Kansas City plays host to Anaheim tonight. That's going to be 9-1-5, 9-1-6 on the betting board. Kansas City minus 118, small favorites over the Angels, over under 8.5 in this one. Anaheim just continues to free fall. I believe they're about 12-39 in the last 51 games. Just playing horrible baseball, not really doing anything well. On pace now to lose over 95 games. They're going to put Jose Suarez on the mound tonight. He was absolutely crushed in his last start by the Dodgers right before the All-Star break. Gave up 6 earned and 3 2/3. He also allowed 4 runs and 3 2/3 the inning before in the outing before that. So, not a guy who's pitching well. Taking on a Kansas City lineup that's surprisingly 4th best in baseball in WRC plus in the month of July. So, really, just not a great situation for Jose Suarez today. Look at that Anaheim bullpen behind him, 24th in baseball in the month of July. So not a lot of hope as far as run prevention for the Angels. I think Kansas City should come out and score plenty. I'm on their team total over 4.5 here. That comes in at plus money, plus 115. I don't mind the idea of playing Kansas City on the money line. The reason I'm not going to outright suggest it, you look at their starter tonight, Angel Zerpa. He's been okay in the minors, 4.43 ERA, mostly at AA Northwest Arkansas. 7 innings pitched, 1 earned so far in the majors. That looks really good, but Not much of a sample there. You look at the full, 70 plus inning sample between majors and minors, and I don't know that this is really somebody who I want to put my money behind. I'd rather just bet on Kansas City scoring theirs tonight. Heading out to the AL West, 917 Houston Astros, 918 Oakland Athletics. Astros favored here, minus 157. Oakland plus 142, over under 7 runs. Oakland going with Frankie Montas here. He looked pretty okay in his return from the injured list in his last start. Through 3 strong innings, didn't allow a run. I don't know how long he's going to be in the game tonight. Wouldn't surprise me if he was only available for 4 or 5 innings. He did face Houston back on May 31st. 7 innings pitched, 2 earned, so he looks really good in that one. You look at his month by month stats this year; he's stayed fairly consistent. 2.31 ERA in May, 3.19 in June, 2.25 in July. So it's hard to really look at his resume and see, poke too many holes in it. The Astros, it was really weird how much they struggled hitting Adam Oller yesterday. I would have thought that they would have pulled away in that game, but Jake Odorizzi did not do them any favors as they quickly fell behind, ended up losing to Oakland. I really don't think the Astros are going to lose twice in a row to this team, but I'm also not really looking to lay a big run line or a big money line here, given the way Frankie Montas has been pitching. You look at Luis Garcia on the other side for the Astros tonight. He's been above average on Baseball Savant pretty much across the board. 2.25 road ERA, so he's clearly comfortable pitching away from Minute Maid Park, but he's been kind of treading water in June and July. He's got an ERA around 4.2, 4.3 since the start of June, so nothing too exciting there. It is worth noting, it looked like Oakland used most of their competent relievers last night. I know AJ Puck threw an inning and 2/3. Lou Trevino pitched. So I think Houston is probably the side that wins the game, but at the price they're at, not worth betting them. Final game between two AL teams tonight. We've got Texas Rangers and Seattle Mariners, 919-920 from up in Seattle. Mariners got their first second half win last night after being swept to start the second half at home by the Astros. It's going to be Dane Dunning and George Kirby on the mound in this one. Mariners minus 152 favorites, over under 8 runs. Dane Dunning has some work against Seattle this year. 11 innings of work, 5 earned. So, not amazing, not awful. You look at his two starts in July, both of which were pre-All-Star break. They didn't go very well. He allowed 9 runs in 7 2/3 innings. So I don't really think that he has any positive momentum going right now. He was acceptable in June, right around 3.75 on the ERA. Overall season results say he's a slightly below average starter, and that's what Baseball Savant says he is too. So, not really any reason to be super confident in Dane Dunning. Seattle now seeing him a third time. Both teams have been right around average in the month of July in WRC plus against right-handed pitching. I think they're 104 and 103 respectively. Look at the flip side of George Kirby on the mound. He's only faced Texas once this year, back on June 5th. He threw 6 innings, allowed 2 runs. You look what he's done in July, 11.1 innings, 3 runs over his 2 starts this month, so both pretty strong. But he's been battling injuries. He's been in the minors. His last start at the major league level was 18 days ago. So don't know what we're going to see from him tonight. I think he's probably the better of the 2 starters. One of the great things about George Kirby, he doesn't walk anybody. He's got a walk rate of the 99th percentile per Baseball Savant. So that's really good news for him, but he's been giving up a little too much hard contact, not necessarily generating a ton of swing and miss. I think Seattle is favored, or should be favored. Big difference here in the bullpens too. Seattle's bullpen's number 1, Texas number 25 in the month of July for the ERA. Seattle's also 9-2 against Texas this year. My initial lean was going to be towards Seattle on the run line, minus 1.5. Problem is, you look at what Seattle's done in those wins. They've actually won 5 of those 9 games against Texas by just 1 run. So maybe not quite as much separating these two teams as we think. Moving into interleague play, talk of the town has been this Cardinals-Blue Jays series, 9-2-1 St. Louis at 9-2-2 Toronto. Blue Jays are a big favorite, over under 9. No surprise that the Blue Jays are a big favorite. Obviously, the Cardinals, as you have probably heard, are without Nolan Arenado and Paul Goldschmidt, neither of whom are vaccinated for COVID, and as such are not able to cross the border into Canada. Really a shame for St. Louis. Those two guys have been driving the offense, especially Paul Goldschmidt. Guy hit 4 home runs over the weekend, and now he's not in the lineup. Toronto absolutely red hot. Ever since they let go of their manager, they've been playing great baseball. They've won now 8 out of 9. They swept Boston over the weekend. Obviously, they had the 28-run outburst on Friday. They also scored 8 runs on Sunday. So this is an offense that's really clicking on all cylinders. You look at Andre Palante on the mound for St. Louis. Done a decent job of avoiding barrels and not necessarily allowing a huge slugging percentage, but a lot of hard hit balls against him. Batting average against him stays high. I don't think he's necessarily a guy who I want to be playing on. He's definitely due some negative regression. I don't think that 3.34 ERA is holding now is going to hold up for much longer. You look at what Toronto does against righties specifically. They are number 1 in baseball with a WRC plus of 148. That's 48% above average against righties for for Toronto in the month of July. St. Louis, they're facing a righty today as well. They're 18th in that category. So just slightly below average. It's really hard to know what to expect from their offense without Goldschmidt or Arenado. It's definitely not a good thing to be missing those guys. Taking on Jose Barrios today. He pitched at St. Louis on May 23rd, 6 innings, 3 earned, threw okay in that game. He just really hasn't had a good season overall, but you look at his last month or so, in July, 23 and a third innings of work, 3.09 ERA. He looks like he's starting to figure it out a little bit. He's a guy that's going to be in the zone. He's going to pitch to contact. And I think against the lineup St. Louis is going to put out there today, that actually might be a pretty good strategy. I do pause before going against St. Louis with how good their bullpen's been. They've had the number 3 bullpen in baseball in the month of July. Toronto sitting at number 9. And I just don't trust what I've seen from Barrios enough. He's really not had a very good season. And right when you think he's turning it around, he seems to go out there and give up 5 or 6. So, I think everybody and their mother wants to bet Toronto today, just given the roster situation for St. Louis. But I'm going to go ahead and pass. I just can't quite get to it. The only way I would have looked is the wrong line. Big one tonight from the Big Apple. New York Yankees at New York Mets, Subway Series. Yankees, very small favorites, minus 113. Mets plus 103. That's 9-2-3, 9-2-4 game on the betting board. Over under 8 runs in this one. Yankees sending Jordan Montgomery to the mound against Taijuan Walker for the Mets. Both guys with pretty good season-long stats. What I think makes Montgomery particularly unique is just how consistent he's been. Every month this season, he's posted an ERA between 2.7 and 3.66. He's been the same guy all year. He doesn't really have those starts where he randomly blows up. He also doesn't really have starts where he goes out there and gives you 8 scoreless. He's generally a guy who's going to go out there, throw 6 innings, give up 1, 2, maybe 3 earned, which, super valuable guy to have around. He doesn't really walk anybody. He's got a slightly above average overall savant profile. He does have an expected ERA of 4.07. So you could make an argument that there is some regression coming his way. I'm just not sure the Mets are a team capable of making that regression happen. The Mets are 20th against left-handed pitchers in the month of July. Yankees, meanwhile, 3rd best against righties in the month of July. They'll be facing one today in Taijuan Walker. The Mets have had better results from their bullpen in July than the Yankees have. Obviously, the Yankees now losing King for the rest of the season is a big deal for their bullpen. I give looking at the other side, Taijuan Walker, generally above average. Guys having a really good season, ERA around 2.5 for the whole year, but definitely a little bit of a negative regression candidate as well. His expected ERA is up in the mid-3s. Pitching really well in July though, 1.89 ERA this month, 1 earned run in his last 13 innings pitched. I think it's going to be a really good ball game. I don't have a strong opinion on either side. I think the total's about right. I think the Mets probably have a small starting pitching advantage, but the Yankees hit better in these platoon splits. A little bit of a bullpen advantage for the Mets. I don't know. Probably not a game that I'm interested in playing. A few more games on the board. We've got 9-2-5 San Diego Padres, 9-2-6 Detroit Tigers. Tigers ended up kicking their butt last night. They really got after Sean Manaea. They can do that from time to time to a left-handed pitcher. I don't think they're going to be so lucky tonight taking on Garrett Clevenger. Padres obviously a pretty big favorite here, over under 8.5. Um, I think part of it is the starter for Detroit tonight, Garrett Hill. He's only made 3 career starts. His first one was good, and then as soon as there was film on him, his last 2 starts have been pretty pitiful. And 9 earned runs the last 10 innings. So he's fighting through 5 innings every start, but he's not really getting guys out. I think San Diego's going to bounce back after the way they played last night. You look at Detroit; they're 29th in baseball against right-handed pitching. Mike Clevenger has a lot of experience in that ballpark and against that lineup. I think he'll probably pitch pretty well tonight. Whereas, I do think Garrett Hill, I think that they'll get to him a little bit. I do like the Padres only in the first 5, though. It's going to be a run line play, minus half a run. That came in at minus 120 for me. The reason I don't want to be anywhere near them full game, you look at the 2 bullpens in the month of July. Detroit's ranks 10th. San Diego's ranks 27th. San Diego's bullpen obviously had to do a lot of work last night, too. So hopefully Clevenger goes out there, gives us 5 strong. San Diego run line in the first 5 innings comes through. We've got 2 more games to get to, both interleague, and I've got action on both of them. Minnesota Twins and the Milwaukee Brewers having a little bit of a border war up there in the northern Midwest. It's going to be Dylan Bundy and Ethan Small on the mound in this one. Bundy going for Minnesota. Minnesota, very small, plus 102 underdog. Brewers, minus 112. Over-under set at 9. Little bit of juice going to the over here, and that is where I'm going to be, is on over 9. To kind of walk through why, you look at Ethan Small on the mound for the Brewers. This is a guy who has 1 career Major League appearance. It did not go well at all. 2.2 innings of work, 4 walks, 2 earned against the Cubs. That was back on May 30th. He's been fine at AAA. ERA around 3.5-ish in Nashville. Milwaukee is definitely high on him. I think he's the number 8 overall prospect in the system. Could be a guy on the move if Milwaukee does choose to make some trades coming up here in the next couple weeks. You look at Minnesota, they have been a little bit above average in the month of July against lefties. It's a lineup in general that's hitting well. I think you look at Minnesota's last few games, they've gone over 9 runs in 11 of the last 13 games they've played. Milwaukee's actually done it in 7 of 11 games as well. So certainly some trends that point to the over here. You look at the flip side, Dylan Bundy taking the mound. Same old Dylan Bundy, really. 6.07 in May, 4.62 in June, 4.70 in July. We kind of know who this guy is, right? He's an average to more than likely below average righty. He'll give you a few good starts, but a lot of starts where he's going to go 5 innings, give up somewhere between 3 and 5 runs. His ERA away from Minnesota is pitiful, 6.02 when he's not pitching at Target Field. Milwaukee does hit righties well. They're 8th in baseball, WRC plus of 116 against righties in the month of July. Bundy's not really walking anybody, so at least he has that working in his favor. But contact against him has been really hard. I don't think either one of these starters go very deep here. And I think we might go over 9 fairly easily, maybe something like a 7-5 Twins or 6-5 Brewers. Final game on the board from Coors Field tonight. It's another interleague game, 9-2-9 Chicago White Sox, 9-3-0 Colorado Rockies. White Sox going to be very small favorites, minus 110. Rockies plus 100, over under 11. Relatively lowish total for Coors Field. I don't know that I think that's right, but I like the White Sox here. I'm just playing them on the money line, laying minus 110. I think Michael Kopech's the better of the 2 starters between he and German Marquez. He hasn't really been great recently, but look at his expected ERA for the season, 3.87. That's not terrible. Obviously he's looked a bit more human over the last month after the great start that he got off to. But you look what he's done his last 2 starts, 10 in the 3rd innings, 4 earned runs total, still 7 walks. So that part's not ideal. Similar story with Marquez, honestly. A little bit better his last 2 starts, 13 innings, 13 innings, 4 earned. Overall, though, it's been an awful season for German Marquez, and it's been an okay season for Michael Kopech. Marquez at home, 6.63 ERA. Coors Field has just been killing him and killing his numbers all year. You look at, how these 2 teams perform in the platoon split. White Sox 10th against right-handed pitching in the month of July. Colorado 17th against right-handed pitching in the month of July. Bullpens, Chicago 13th. Colorado 22nd in the month of July. So a lot of advantages for the White Sox here. Better overall lineup, playing better baseball. I think they've got the better starter on the mound. I think they've got the better bullpen. You can probably see where I'm going with this. Fairly simple, straightforward handicap here leads me to White Sox minus 110 in a game that I think they should probably be favored. Those are all the games. Kind of a quicker show today, going alone. I hope I wasn't going too fast for y'all, but kind of a quick recap of the best bets that we do have today. Atlanta, Philadelphia, no runs in the first inning. We're drinking a little bit of juice there, minus 150. I think it'll be well worth it. Atlanta, money line, minus 117, backing Spencer Strider over Aaron Nola. Dodgers, minus 1.5, going back to the well there. Tampa Bay and Baltimore, no runs first inning. I think McClanahan and Watkins both might hold that game down a bit for the first half of it, but we'll see. San Diego Padres, first 5 on the run line between Clevenger and Garrett Hill. Much better starting pitcher on the bump, much better lineup for San Diego. Good bounce back spot after last night. I'd be surprised if they weren't leading after 5. Minnesota and Milwaukee over 9. We talked about the trends there, talked about the 2 starters not breeding a whole lot of confidence. I think that game should go over 9 fairly easily. And then last game on the board, we just touched on it, White Sox minus 110. Just think we got the better team, better starter, better bullpen, better lineup, better in the splits. So, they're not huge advantages, but altogether it's enough to make laying the minus 110 worth it there. So those are the plays. Certainly appreciate everybody's time today. Just a quick 30-plus minutes on air. But certainly a lot of action. Feel free to reach out to me on Twitter. Would love to talk ball. Would love to, talk to you about handicapping on any games that you're interested in. My Twitter handle is at Dalton J. Brown. You're also welcome to just go yell at me there. Like anybody else, I'm going to lose plenty of bets. I'm going to win plenty of bets. If the losers piss you off, come over and let me know it. I'll certainly read it. But appreciate your time. Hopefully not too many tonight. I think it's a pretty decent card. So looking forward to watching the games. I'll be back Thursday, hopefully with BC for another episode of Touch 'Em All. Until then, let's win some money. Remember that the Angels don't play in LA, and we'll see you then. Have a good one.